Nandana Bodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Pancha Tattva Jaya Pancha Tattva Pancha Tattva Jaya Pancha Tattva Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Thank you for having me for the session. Today is a very auspicious day. It's Srivas Thakur's appearance day, one of the Panchatattva. So he's an incarnation of Sri Narad Muni. So with his blessings, and we should pray to him so that we also get Krishna Prema, mercy of Lord Chaitanya soon. With his prayers, we'll actually start the class today. Today also happens to be Easter by the English calendar. In all, it's a nice day, and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam makes us more auspicious. So with that, let me actually share. So today's session is about the 16th chapter summary. How did Parikshit Maharaj really receive the age of Kali? 5,000 years back after Lord Krishna actually had left the planet, his manifested pastimes on this earth. Kali Yuga was trying to actually creep in. However, because of Parikshit Maharaj's very strong, able administration, Kali could not really enter. However, finally Kali did enter. But before that, what really happened? How did Parikshit Maharaj really have everything in control? We'll see this. There are a lot of important instructions in this chapter. We'll try to actually cover them in today's session. Okay, there's no link with the previous chapter. The 15th chapter is all about the Pandavas retired timely. That is, the Pandavas, after performing all their pastimes with Lord Krishna, they were ready to actually go to the next episode of their drama. So they just wound up everything and left. But Sutta Goswami is continuing. There's no link with the 15th and 16th chapter, but he's just going to continue about Parikshit Maharaj's lifestyle. What did Parikshit Maharaj really do after he became the king and things like that? So this chapter can be actually divided into 5 aspects. The first aspect is all about Parikshit Maharaj being an ideal ruler. He was actually, it was the sages and the astrologers actually had predicted how Parikshit Maharaj will actually come to be. What is that he will actually do? How will he actually really rule the world and things like that? So we'll see that portion. Then Parikshit Maharaj actually sees a very, very odd activity or a scene which is very common these days. What is that scene all about that Parikshit Maharaj sees? And Shaunaka Rishi, who's addressed by Sutta Goswami in Naimisharanya, suddenly asks a question: why is actually this particular scene coming into picture? So he asks a few questions. We'll see that. And then after that, Parikshit Maharaj knows that Kali is trying to enter. He tries to conquer the entire world. We'll see very, very curious. There are very interesting aspect about the whole Jambudvipa and other things actually are mentioned on this particular portion. We'll try to see that. And then there is actually a very long discussion between the cow in the form of the earth in the form of cow and dharma, religious principles in the form of a bull. They both actually are discussing something very important about the advent of Kali Yuga. And final portion is that earth in the form of cow is expressing a pain of separation from Lord Krishna, and also laments what is actually the effect of Kali on the people. So these are the 5 aspects that we'll see in this chapter. Without much other explanation, let's actually get into the details. The first four slokas of this chapter is about how Parikshit Maharaj is actually an ideal ruler and how he actually punishes Kali. The first shloka actually talks about this, that Parikshit Maharaj actually ruled as per the instructions of the Brahmanas, and Prabhupada actually mentions a very long purport talking about how a proper God conscious Mahabhagavata king is far better than the so-called democracy kind of ruling which is happening today in all over the world. So this is a very, very important aspect, saying Prabhupada is actually giving an example about how you actually come up with a law, and then after the law doesn't work, you actually modify that law. These things actually are not useful at all for ruling the people in general for their highest goal of life. Whereas a person like Parikshit Maharaj, who always listens to Brahmanas, qualified Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and by their instructions, he would actually really rule. Prabhupada gives a very, very interesting aspect here. Prabhupada says Parikshit Maharaj ruled the world um, by the instructions of Brahmanas. Because Parikshit Maharaj was ruling like that, the Brahmanas became very scared because I am giving the instructions. So they become very accountable. So I am giving the instructions. Parikshit Maharaj actually has to rule. Now, if I make a mistake, all of them will suffer. So they become very, very, very careful in checking the Shastras carefully and then guide Parikshit Maharaj. So this is how actually the ruling needs to be done. Prabhupada also mentions that Parikshit Maharaj actually was a Mahabhagavata. So this was foretold that he actually will gain a lot of very good qualities of the demigods. But Prabhupada mentions that he became a Mahabhagavata. That is, he was simply an unalloyed devotee of Krishna. Because of that, all the good qualities which was foretold at birth, actually started getting manifested. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport that we should simply try to become a pure devotee of Krishna, simply increase our devotion towards Krishna. All the qualities, all the good qualities of the demigods, which is all good to have, will all get manifested. We don't need to go and then get trained on how to become what you call all this personality development course and things like that. All these things are not necessary. Simply becoming a devotee of Krishna and properly following the instructions of Bhagavatam and Guru Maharaj, automatically you'll gain all these qualities. Right. So, and then general background about Parikshit Maharaj is mentioned. That is, he married Iravati. Iravati is also called known as Madravati, and she happens to be Parikshit Maharaj's cousin sister. That is Uttara. King Uttara happens to be Parikshit Maharaj's mother, who is also known as Uttara. King Uttara's daughter is Iravati. So Parikshit Maharaj married Iravati, and then we got 4 sons, and the eldest is Janamejaya. And there are some explanation about Janamejaya given. Prabhupada mentioned Janamejaya actually is a Rajarishi, very, very qualified king. Janamejaya and Vajranabha, who happens to be Krishna's grandson, they were both very, very close friends. But Janamejaya was actually very disappointed that his father, Parikshit Maharaj, had to die untimely because of the curse of the Brahmana. And we saw that in the previous chapters that Parikshit Maharaj had to be killed by Takshaka. Janamejaya became very angry in general against all the snakes. But as he grew up, his hatredness towards snakes actually increased. And in fact, in the later days, actually performed a huge yajna wherein he called all the snakes. And then all the snakes actually, he did a sacrifice wherein all the snakes were killed. He even pulled Takshaka and many other very poisonous snakes. Elsewhere, it is mentioned that because of this sacrifice, many snakes actually have died. Otherwise, there are far more dangerous snakes on this earthly planet, which is not it's all missing because of Janamejaya. However, there's also a little bit of pastimes in Mahabharata saying that Janamejaya actually was cursed by the snakes, that he actually had the Nagadosha. So he was not actually peaceful. His heart was always burning. So he was advised to actually go to this place called Guruvayur in South India. He stayed there for quite some time. He would have been killed by a snake, but he didn't because Garuda protected him there. So there are past times mentioned there in Guruvayur temple that Janamejaya was actually protected by Garuda, and so he worshipped the Lord of Guruvayurappan there. And in fact, after all these things done, Janamejaya was actually guided by Vaishampayana. He became very materialistic, so Vaishampayana came and then spoke the whole Mahabharata, and then somehow made him a devotee again. So when he became a devotee, he started feeling very bad that I couldn't really spend time with my father because he was very young when Parikshit died. So Janamejaya requested Vyasadeva that I want to see my father. So they brought, the sages actually brought Parikshit Maharaj, and he was there in front of Janamejaya, and Janamejaya worshipped him. And this all actually is mentioned in the purport of Prabhupada on this particular shloka. And Janamejaya accepted Kripacharya, who is again a very, very old person, but he accepted him as guru, and then performed various sacrifices. And then 3 horse sacrifices is what is mentioned. And it was so wonderful. This is actually done by Parikshit Maharaj, not Janamejaya, Parikshit Maharaj. Um, and Parikshit Maharaj was so wonderful as a king that even the demigods who are not seen these days were seen by common men, because common men were trained to be very, very satisfied, and then they were very happy. And because of that, they were not actually trying to cheat each other. So demigods, out of their own mercy, they were actually seen whenever the sacrifices took place. So that's actually an indication that the 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 state affair was very nicely handled. So when this was going on, life was actually fine. He was taking care of the entire state very nicely. One day, Parikshit Maharaj actually saw a low-class man, more like a Shudra. It's considered like a Shudra who's dark, and but was dressed as a king. Basically, he was actually having very costly clothes on himself, and he was actually hurting legs of a bull and a cow. So he was actually trying to hit the bull and the cow, which was actually a very, very, very rare sight in those days. Parikshit Maharaj actually caught hold of this person, and he was about to punish him. He was trying to punish him, and Sutta Goswami stops here on that particular shloka, because this particular sight is very common these days. I mean, the cows actually gets hit by the person, caretaker, and then sometimes on the road also they push it away, and then it's a very, very pathetic situation for the cow and the bull. However, you'll find that in the olden days, in those days, this was actually not a common thing. This was extremely, very, very dangerous crime to commit, and probably, most of the cases, the person who actually um, tortures the cow or a bull is killed. You don't have to kill a cow, but you are just, if you even torture a cow or a bull, you are in deep trouble in those days. So when Sutta Goswami mentions this, Shaunaka rishis, all of them Shaunaka the rishi, they're all sitting, and then they actually suddenly get, I mean, why would actually a cow and bull getting beaten, Parikshit Maharaj, why are you telling this story? What does it really mean? If this story actually, this episode has something in connection with Krishna, then tell us. If it is not actually something to connected to Krishna, don't tell us this, because it is actually a waste of time. Because I mean, it doesn't actually add much value for us. No, Shaunaka Rishi actually not only stops here, he describes about the quality of the devotees and the Supreme Lord. He says that the devotees of Krishna are used to, whenever Prabhupada mentions about devotees, he is recommending pure devotees, or he is suggesting pure devotees, or how a devotee should actually be living. We can simply call ourselves the devotees of Krishna, but if we don't have this quality, then we are really not devotees of Krishna. Prabhupada mentioned that devotees are used to lick up the honey from the lotus feet of Krishna. That means they want to hear about Krishna more and more. Any other topic which is there is useless, even if it sounds nectarian, even if other topics are interesting to know. A new thing has come in the world and things like that. Devotees don't waste their time. In this aspect, Prabhupada actually mentions a very what do you call important aspect in the purport. I want to actually read the purport directly, only that portion. In the 16th, the 6th shloka of the 16th chapter, a very important aspect. One of the paragraph actually mentions Prabhupada mentions a very strong point, which I don't think I can just um, give the summary. It's a wonderful three-liner um, point. Our duration of life is not very long. Prabhupada mentioned this, and there is no certainty of when we shall be ordered to leave everything for the next stage. Thus, it is our duty to see that not a moment of our life is wasted in topics which are not related with Lord Krishna. Any topic, however pleasant, is not worth hearing if it is devoid of its relation to Krishna. Very powerful, very powerful um, point in the purport, that even if it's actually a very interesting subject matter, everyone actually likes it. And even if we get actually um, excited to hear more about it, Prabhupada says it's useless because we don't have too much time, but we have to learn a lot of things because we come to a place where we have no clue about how to get back to Krishna. Um, so don't misuse your time is what Prabhupada actually says. And Shaunakarishi actually mentions this. Even if the topic is interesting for some people to, because many Shastras give very interesting aspect about stories of different kinds. It might be interesting to know, but the Shaunakarishi says, no, don't actually describe this. If it actually has any connection with Krishna, please let us know. And he also mentions why is it like that. He says because we have decided to actually avoid death. uh, and here the solution for those who want to escape death is actually mentioned. Whoever wants to actually have eternal life, it's mentioned. um, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport a very interesting aspect. Do Sankirtan and invite Yamaraj, because Yamaraj will never say no for any Sankirtan, because he being a Mahajana, Yamaraj is a great devotee of Krishna. He would want to actually glorify Krishna and hear about Krishna. So when he's actually engaged um, in an activity in Sankirtan, no one, at least in that assembly, will die because Yamaraj is sitting there and all of them are hearing about Krishna. So that is the reason Chanakarishi says, don't tell some in a modern language, cock and bull story and all. Don't waste your time. If it's related to Krishna, why did this dark fellow actually was torturing cow and bull? Please tell us that story. What is the relationship with Krishna? Please tell us that. And he also mentions the the people of this age, lazy human beings with paltry intelligence and short duration of life, pass the night sleeping and day working for nothing. Prabhupada mentions a very strong purport here, saying that although people actually have short duration of life, not very intelligent to understand this the spiritual subject matters, and being very lazy, um, will always spend time in the night sleeping, or in actually in what you call in relation with the opposite sex, waste their time. And in daytime they work for nothing. Says even if you're working hard to take care of the family and things like that, Prabhupada says it's all for sense gratification, because of which it's considered as nothing from an eternal standpoint. um, and this purport also, Prabhupada mentions an important aspect, that everyone knows that at least the sages knew that Kali cannot be stopped. But then why did Parikshit Maharaj really was trying to um, control Kali should not enter, is basically because an intelligent person should always understand, um, by putting a lot of controls, at least one or two people will be benefited. Simply saying that anyways you can't control, anyways it's going to happen, anyways it's going to rain, we'll all get drenched, but at least take umbrella, or be prepared to protect yourself. Maybe one or two will succeed. Still, that is actually a sign of being an active person rather than being a lazy person, saying that okay, anyways we are going to actually rot in the material world, no one is going to go back to God. That kind of mentality is not recommended, is what Prabhupada mentions in the purports. And then the next aspect is about Suta Goswami is explaining, because Shankarashi asked that question, why did this happen? That the scene that Parikshit Maharaj saw about the bull and the cow, the background around that. So when Parikshit Maharaj really saw that these are the symptoms which is happening, the symptoms mentioned is meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. These four symptoms, are these four things which is seen, that means Kali is very prominent in that area. And Maharaj Parikshit was in the palace, and he was able to see this, that Kali is entering because of these, through these symptoms, you are able to see that. That means no one else was actually breaking the principles. All of them in the state was following everything properly. And just by looking at this, he understood that Kali is entering. So he prepared to eradicate Kali, saying Kali should not come as long as I am alive. Very powerful king indeed. He was not very happy that Kali is entering, but he was very happy that I'm getting a chance to fight now. So I need to actually fight with Kali. Let me find out what to do. So he prepared to enter the warfield uh, and then go around the what you call world to actually conquer everyone. What did he really do? He actually took his whole army and traveled all over the universe, or rather than that, all over the world, all the different directions, right? So he took the whole army and then started making sure that this four symptoms are eradicated. No one is actually breaking the principles. Now, in the couple of shlokas there, it's mentioned that he conquered all the varshas. We know about Bharata Varsha, right? Bharata Varsha apparently is mentioned as this, more or less this world, right? But actually speaking here, the explanation is given like Bhadrashva, Ketumala, Bharata Varsha, then Kimpurusha Varsha, all these different varshas which are there. Um, Parikshit Maharaj visited these places and exacted tributes from the rulers of those planets, those places. And there are a lot of, in the purport you can actually read, Prabhupada mentions about Bhadrashva Varsha, there are a lot of beautiful women there and things like that. How one goes there, no one actually knows. But interestingly speaking, Parikshit Maharaj went into these places, and um, it's very difficult to say, is it actually the earth alone or something more than that? The fifth canto Bhagavatam actually explains this more, and also there are some explanation in Mahabharata about these varshas. There's varshas and there's dvipas. This Jambu Dvipa, in the Jambu Dvipa, there are like nine varshas which are there, and there are 8 mountains which actually, what do you call, dividing this entire varsha or the dvipa. Each dvipa is called island. Varshas is actually basically the divisions of that whole island. Jambudvipa is in the center, or that's actually the main island, right? I'm not getting deeper into this. Actually, will be discussed in the fifth canto. It requires some amount of analysis. It's not straightforward to explain. Um, again, so when he went into different varshas like this, he heard about how his grandfathers, that is Pandavas, how glorious they were, how Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord, actually served them nicely. He was hearing all this great praise about his grandfathers, and also how Krishna helped them, protected them, served them like a menial servant and things like that. And when they used to glorify, Parikshit Maharaj was very, very happy. He was actually hearing these things, and then his devotion towards Krishna kept on increasing so much. He was just closing his eyes and then meditating upon Krishna, and then he gave very nice gifts to all these people who are singing about his grandfathers. He was coming in that same family lineage, because of which he felt very close to all the Pandavas and also Krishna. So that's actually mentioned here. And interestingly, here in purport, Prabhupada mentioned that Pandavas were like they felt like they were like puppets in the hands of Krishna, and Krishna, because he was so close to the Pandavas, he behaved like a puppet to the Pandavas. The Pandavas said, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, "Can you go as a messenger to the Kauravas and ask them for some small villages for us?" Krishna said, "Yes." It's all done by, or not actually a very high qualified person. It's a very said, "Go and give the message and come," things like that. So it's never given to very high qualified people. So Krishna took that kind of roles. We know in the Mahabharata war also, Krishna actually was the chariot driver of Arjuna, which is actually a Shudra job, but Krishna accepted it because he loved the Pandavas so much. So hearing all these things, Parikshit Maharaj was so happy, and he was so overwhelmed with the devotion to Krishna that he simply actually was attracted to Krishna more and more, hearing all these things. And when he did this, and he came across a scene, what was actually described earlier, right? Shaunakarishi asked what is the reason that this is happening, and Suta Goswami is explaining that. So he comes across the same scene which was explained, but again, this is a mystical scene, because this cannot be seen with the naked eyes. No one else could see it. Just Parikshit Maharaj was able to see this sight. What is this strange sight? He said, Dharma, which is the religious principles, in the form of a bull, made the earth in the form of a cow. Now, very strange scene, right? In this scene, it's mentioned that the bull actually had only one leg. Three legs were not there. Only one leg was there, and that leg was also actually going away. And this cow was standing in front of this uh, bull and was crying. Was actually having tears in her eyes. And Dharma was actually questioning the cow. Although the Dharma was not able to stand properly, still he was actually looking at the cow. And since cow was crying, he was asking this question to the cow. And Parikshit Maharaj saw this. It's again, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it's actually a mystical form. This is actually a sight that only Parikshit actually could really see that. And here, from now on, for about 8 shlokas, it is like Dharma is actually predicting how Kali Yuga would be, right? He's asking the cow, "Are you well? Are you okay? Are you doing okay? Your face seems very pale, and then I see that because of your crying, your face looks very withered." We can see many of the cows today are not very happy, excited with the condition, right? Um, or are you lamenting for a friend in a distant land? Ask a lot of questions. Will ask Dharma will ask questions to the cow. All these things are more or less actually a symptoms of this age of Kali. What does it mean? Are you lamenting for a friend in a distant land? This looks a little cryptic. Why would actually a cow have a very distant land person? No, actually, it means is that in Kali Yuga, families don't stay together. The husband may be actually elsewhere, the wife will be elsewhere. Because of that, the parents will be here, and the children, the sons or the daughters, need to actually be abroad for earning a living. They are never together. So this is one of the symptoms of Kali Yuga. In the olden days, people hesitate to leave the family and go anywhere. They are happy and contented to be with the family, because if there's no family, there is no life, actually, frankly speaking. Karmi life, nothing to do with devotion service. But this is actually an indication of the age of Kali. Second one, are you lamenting because I have lost 3 legs? The 3 legs, the 4 legs of dharma, religious principles, is actually what do you call the, if you see uh, the truthfulness, austerity, cleanliness, and then these aspects. When you actually have this illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating, um, you break these principles. So the only leg which is a little bit left out is actually the truthfulness, as per the Shastras, and all the other legs are lost. That means meat eating, intoxication, and illicit sex. These are actually very rampant, and people don't see this actually any wrong activity. They take it as it's okay, it's fine. I mean, it's just personal, don't disturb anyone else. In the olden days, if somebody was doing this, they were completely banned by the family, by the society, everyone. They are outcasts. You have to be somewhere that's not in the society. But today, it's okay, it's fine, it's their personal life, don't get involved in this. So that was actually it's a symptom that actually is predicted as part of Kali Yuga. And then Dharma is asking cow, the earth, are you lamenting because of that? Or in Kali Yuga, especially, they will actually kill cows. They'll People love to eat cow meat more than anything else. Are you saying that because unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? Are you crying or feeling bad because of that? Or the demigods won't get their sacrificial offerings. No one will do proper sacrifice because no one knows how to do a sacrificial offering properly. And because of that, the demigods will actually not get their share. And because of that, there's no proper rain, extreme heat, and drought and famine. All these things actually starts um, what do you call, disturbing the general living entities of this world. So demigods are not happy with the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. They're very angry with them. Is that the reason actually you're feeling bad? Or the general living being will actually suffer because of drought and famine, which is predicted. No water properly, you won't get proper, what do you call, the water from the river. Ideally speaking, one should actually drink water from the river, because seawater is salty, no one can take it. The borewell concept was never there in the past because it's actually not good for spiritual growth. With all these rivers which are there, it's all spiritual rivers. And these rivers, by taking somebody, taking an association, either in taking bath or drinking, will purify one's consciousness. That's completely very difficult to actually get these days. Um, is it because of that? Um, are you actually feeling bad that the living beings will suffer because of famine and drought? they won't get good food, they'll actually all struggle quite a bit. You're feeling bad because of that. Or in general, women and children will be unprotected. um, the men actually will not bother about women. They won't bother about what do you call children being properly trained. No one will actually take interest in training the children up. Yeah, just leave it, do whatever you want. In general, this will be actually the trend. As it goes on, it will become more and more increased. But because of this aspect, women actually are feeling very disturbed as a class, and they want more freedom and things like that. But unfortunately, they are not protected properly. So this is actually mentioned in the Shastras, that if the men were qualified enough and they actually were taking care of women and children, which was the case in the olden days, um, protected means they actually have an environment wherein they can be free and happy. Today's unprotected means anybody can exploit them if they actually are very intelligent. So this is actually mentioned in the Shastras, and the bull actually is asking cow, "Are you feeling because of this reason that they'll be unprotected, and the children will not be actually taken care properly? They'll not be trained to become a good devotee of the Lord. You're feeling bad?" Or he continues more, or the goddess of learning, that is Saraswati, which is actually knowledge, are handled by Brahmanas addicted to um, acts against the principles of religion. That means many of these Brahminical, so-called Brahminical people, they will have lot of knowledge, but they will actually be doing activities which are against the dharma. They might actually cheat people because they know something. They'll come and scare. We see sometimes actually in the Shraddha ceremony, some of these so-called Brahminical people say, if you don't give charity, then your father will rot in hell. He'll be like this, and then they do all these things, and because of which people get scared. So is this the reason? Or they will sell what do you call? Because in the olden days, the Brahmanas were giving consultation free of cost, nothing actually in exchange. They were very qualified. They knew what is in the Shastras, and they will guide the general society properly, so that you will not actually be committing any sinful activity, and you'll remain happy in your life. But that such a thing is not available, and today even so-called Brahmanas consultants actually charge a lot of money, and then they are actually not Brahmanas, but they have some knowledge. So is it because of this you're actually feeling bad? Look at all these things that the bull is telling. Oh, interestingly speaking, all these things are not actually the qualities of this age of Kali. Or do you feel that because the Brahmanas have taken shelter of administrative families that don't respect Brahminical culture, meaning sometimes the Brahmanas will go and then ask the kings or rich people for charity, and those people say, okay, you do yajna, I'll give you money. They don't have any respect for Brahminical culture. They just treat them like servants, basically. They'll give them 500 rupees or whatever money they give, but then they say like, okay, you are waste, kind of, because I am giving you money, you are able to actually survive. That mentality is a very, very wrong thing. In fact, in the Shastra, it mentioned the entire world belongs to the Brahmanas and the Supreme Lord and the Vaishnavas. It is just like if you go to actually if you go to a bank and then ask for money from the teller gives you money. But actually speaking, the money belongs to you. The teller is only an instrument to give you money. Similarly, the whole world is giving charity to the Brahmanas, because the whole world belongs to the Brahmanas and Krishna, or Krishna's devotees. They own the world because it's actually the Lord's property, and the Lord's property are freely used only by the Brahminical people and the Vaishnavas. So when somebody is taking charity, the Brahmanas are taking charity from others, it's their own property that they are asking for. So this mentality is not there at all. And the bull is actually asking the cow, is that the reason that you are feeling bad? Or you see that there are a lot of disorders which are created by so-called administrators, bewildered by Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga is creating so much of confusion in the minds of the administrators who are unqualified. So they are passing new laws, and each law they pass, 100 different problems starts coming in. Is it because of that you are feeling very bad? Or are you feeling general population will not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, mating, and drinking, all these different rules, because they'll be inclined to do anything and everything, anytime, anywhere. People will actually eat at any point in time. Night, they will. There are rules and regulations mentioned in the Shastras. Morning, this is the way you need to get up. This is you have to take a bath. You have to worship the Lord. You have to take your prasad. and this is the time you should sleep, this is the time you should mate. Everything is mentioned. But people in Kali Yuga will do anything and everything. You can eat at 12 in the night, 1 in the night. They'll actually come, and many people give many different suggestions for eating, sleeping. This is the food you have to eat and everything. But all these things already mentioned in the Shastras, and no one tries to follow all these things. Sleeping, people actually sleep, what do you call, 4 a.m. in the morning, and then get up at around 12 in the afternoon. This is actually completely absurd. But this is actually the condition the Kali Yuga is actually going to put people in general. Are you feeling bad because of that? Or finally, actually ask this question: are you feeling because the Lord Krishna has already left after performing so many pastimes, and you actually have seen him doing so many pastimes? Looking at all these things, are you feeling the separation? Or ultimately, you feel time has taken away all your fortune, which was adored by the demigods. Even the demigods felt the earth is actually a great place to actually go. Um, because everyone was following the proper varnashrama system, and you see that demigods were there, and then and the kshatriya kings were so wonderful that they did sacrifices that demigods felt very um, honored, so they came here. And because of that, earth was very proud, saying that, wow, although the swarga loka and other lokas are very important, many great personalities are there, but all of them are coming here, and because of that, I'm a very important personality, right? So earth was feeling that. Are you feeling that it's all gone? Because of that you're feeling bad? Tell me the root cause. Why are you feeling so despondent? Why are you crying like this? Now, this slokas talks about why does the earth feel the pain. The earth, actually in the form of a cow, is actually feeling morose, actually crying. Main reason is that the Lord actually has left. We will see what is actually the earth actually talking about. The Lord actually is left, and is wound up his the manifested pastimes here, and is feeling bad. And also in general, she's lamenting that people of Kali will suffer so much because of the effects of Kali, and I don't know what to do. Because she's being a mother, when the mother sees the children actually are feeling very sad, she'll definitely feel bad, right? But she's not able to do anything. So what is the condition? She has to just lament and sit. Doesn't have any actually anybody to help her out, right? So that's actually the condition the cow is actually feeling. So she'll talk about that. Um, so the cow was responding, the earth in the form of cow was responding. Once you had 4 legs, that means the 4 pillars of dharma was very good. And because of that, people are actually following the Varnashrama system very carefully. So it increased the happiness of general people, all the people in the world. And it was all happening because of the mercy of the Lord. Without the mercy of the Lord, nobody can be happy in this world. So the cow was telling the earth, or cow was telling the bull, dharma, you had 4 legs fully, everyone is happy in this world. And I saw that it was so wonderful. It's all happened because of the mercy of the Lord. But um, when how did this happen? When there was so much of burden on the earthly planet, the Lord in the form of Krishna actually had appeared here. Um, but since the time actually he completed his pastimes and left, Kali actually has entered. And because Kali has entered, the person who actually had unlimited qualities, there are 40 qualities which are listed. Let me actually read them. This is actually the version of um, Mother Earth, in the form of a cow. In that she says, Krishna had these qualities. She says, in Krishna reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness, the power to control anger, self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of the sense organs, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, serenity, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, joyfulness, immovability, fidelity, fame, worship, pridelessness, being as a supreme personality of Godhead, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities that were actually present. It was always there with Krishna, and would never be separated from him. By nature, he had these qualities with him. But since since the Lord has left, Kali has actually entered, and then because of that, I feel very bad. And then she was actually feeling very disturbed, right? Now, because of Kali has entered, I am actually thinking of you, the bull, myself, right? The demigods, the sages, the devotees, and all those who are sincere followers of Varnashma system, these people will not actually be able to do whatever they are doing in Kali Yuga so easily. There'll be so much of mistrust and so much of bad qualities which will be actually rampant that they will not be able to be peaceful at all. So I'm feeling bad that they'll all actually struggle. And then she mentions a very, very, very important aspect. Um, she says Lakshmi Devi, who is always actually sought by all the demigods, including Brahma, because where Lakshmi Devi is there, fortune will be there. Because that's why she's called goddess of fortune. Means luck. Everything actually is owned by Lakshmi Ji. Wealth, everything is actually owned by Lakshmi Ji. And Lakshmi Ji is there, then there'll be happiness and then general prosperity and things like that. And even Brahmaji wants, all the demigods want that. No one wants to know as a demigod and then always sitting with hand on leg and saying that, oh, nothing is happening to me. So they all want Lakshmi Devi. So, but Lakshmi Devi, she left her own abode of she stays along the lotus pond forest, right? So she left that place and came to Krishna, Vishnu, and then she was always massaging the feet of Vishnu, right? Such a person is Krishna, and this Krishna was actually standing on the earth, and he was actually walking here and there, running and playing on the earth everywhere in Vrindavan, Govardhan, every other place. He was actually going around here and there, and his lotus feet actually has some marks, right? The marks of a conch shell, then the gourd and things like that. So these are all there in his lotus feet, and when he actually stamps on the earth, you can see that the marks actually are getting printed on the earth. And I felt so empowered and fortunate, and when I was actually feeling like I'm actually the greatest personality, the Lord left. He actually left the world, and then he actually went back to the next episode. He went back to Godhead. So she felt very bad. So here a very interesting aspect is explained, that of all the devotees that Krishna associated with, um, Mother Earth actually is the only devotee who Krishna did not leave at all. Um, how does she feels? How the acharyas explain this is, Krishna was sometimes at home with Yashoda Mata, sometimes with Srimati Radha, and he was going here and there. He was doing so many activities, but all the time he was putting his leg on the ground. So he was always on earth. So because he was always on earth, earth felt that Krishna is always with her. So that because of that, she was feeling very excited. The important aspect of this is very because Mother Earth is feeling that I had such an association of the Lord so close, and what kind of Lord is this person? How great this person Krishna is, not an ordinary person. Why? The explanation is given by the acharyas. Very interesting explanation they gave, that consider Putana's case. Putana was such a dangerous personality. She would kill those who were babies, 6 days old babies, 6 days. Who the 6 days old babies can't think of harming anybody in the creation. They can't think of thinking bad about anybody. They already actually are in such a form that they are very, very, very tender. And the 6 days old babies is what Putana was actually expert in killing. She would actually catch all the 6 day old babies and then kill them. Such a horrible personality she is, which and Krishna actually sucked her life hair because she came to feed Krishna her milk with poison. What did Krishna give in return? Krishna actually he gave the position of a mother in the spiritual world to Putana. Putana came to actually such a horrible person. All these kind of small babies she's actually killing. And she herself came to kill Krishna, and Krishna actually gives her a position of a mother. What a great personality Krishna is. How merciful he should be. Imagine you don't do any harm at all. You always think about good for others and you worship Krishna. And someone who is horrible and who was planning to kill Krishna, such a person is actually giving, Krishna is giving such a person a great position. What would be the position for others who are devotees, who actually are always thinking about the Lord's welfare? So Earth is explaining this. And the second example given is Agasur. While Putana was such a horrible personality, Agasur, or all the demons came to kill Krishna. Agasur did not come to kill Krishna alone. He thought, if I actually have to do something, I should do this. Um, I should actually capture all the covered boys, all the calves, and Krishna. So I should catch all of them and then kill all of them. If I kill all of them, then their parents, the cows, the gopas, all of them will feel separation from all their children, and they will also die. This way, I can wipe out the entire Vrindavan. Look at the kind of thoughts that people have. So Agasur was telling, I'll destroy the entire Vrindavan community. The Vrajadam itself I'll wipe out. So when he thought like this, and he actually started doing it, and Krishna himself was surprised, like, wow, this is actually amazing that I have to actually protect all the coward boys and all these personalities. They have already gone into the body of Agasur. Now, if you kill Agasur just like this, then it's a very dangerous thing because all the children are inside. Now I have to go do something. So Krishna also goes inside, and you know what happens. Krishna entered the demon's body and then killed the demon. So a person who's coming to destroy the entire Veja community, Krishna gives them liberation as an associate of Krishna, right? Such a personality, Krishna, and so wonderful. Who can actually, if somebody associates with Krishna for even some moment, they'll feel like, okay, I don't want to leave this person at all. Such a wonderful personality. And Earth actually spent so much time with Krishna. And in fact, in one of the 12th canto purports, Prabhupada mentioned that um, Krishna was there for 125 years on this earth planet. He did not spend even one moment extra. Why? Because if he actually had spent one moment extra on this earth planet, then this our earth would have been the most important earth in the creation. Krishna did not want to give that kind of a privilege to one earth because he keeps going to all the earths in different universes. Amazing kind of explanation given by the acharyas. But earth felt so much separation that no one else would have felt. So that's how Mother Earth is actually telling in the form of a cow to the bull. So she also continues that Adadahi Dharmasya, right? So Krishna appeared to actually remove all the burden. Actually, I was having so much of burden. I went to Brahmaji in the form of a cow, and we went to Vishnu and asked them, please help us. Krishna appeared to destroy all the military phalanxes. The whole Mahabharata war was for that. Um, Tell me, with this kind of a person who appeared simply to actually help me out, he leaves me and goes. And he was so affectionate to all the different gopis and all the damsels. Such a person, he traveled all over my earth, and I felt so happy because of my anxiety or because of my ecstasy. The grass which appears like hair on my body was actually out of, like, sometimes actually when you're very excited, the hairs will actually stand on end. I was feeling like this. The grass, the tender grass was like that. So when Krishna's walking on the earth, I felt so much. And then who can tolerate the separation of such a person? That's the reason I'm actually crying. And when it was actually happening, when they're actually discussing like this, um, Parikshit Maharaj was actually looking at that and then walking, and he reached the shore of Saraswati River. Here, actually, he sees the actual Kali going to hitting the cow and the bull. And then the next chapter really talks about the details around what did Parikshit Maharaj really do. So Parikshit Maharaj is actually receiving Kali. He saw Kali is actually coming in, and then now actually he'll start. The 17th chapter is all about how Kali is actually Parikshit Maharaj is going to punish Kali, right? Uh, so it's a very, very important chapter. So we can understand so many instructions. Let's actually just follow through it. That Parikshit Maharaj was Mahabhagavata devotee, but he did not actually gain all these things. He just got all the good qualities because he was a pure devotee of the Lord. He just cultivated his devotions to Krishna. If we simply do that, don't bother about other things, just actually increase your devotion towards Krishna, automatically all the good qualities will start appearing in your person. And solution for deathlessness: if you don't want Yamaraj to attack you, do Sankirtan all the time hear about Krishna, and invite Yamaraj also there, so Yamaraj will not actually disturb people who are there. symptoms of Kali Yuga. We saw such horrible thing that the bull was actually asking cow, these are the symptoms I'm going to see. You really, are you feeling bad, and are you feeling bad, and things like that. So this is like endless list of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is actually a horrible age, and we think we actually advanced so much in technology and other things, but really, really bad situation for spiritual life. And then the qualities of Lord, there are about 40 qualities that Mother Earth actually mentions about Krishna. There are much more, which is there in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But these 40 qualities, what actually is enumerated by Mother Earth. And she feels that such wonderful personality. I was so close to him, and he actually left me and went. And then she was feeling extreme separation from the Lord, that she couldn't actually really. It's like Dharma also is gone, the Lord also is gone, and you are left alone. How horrible you would feel. I mean, after having everything in the world, Krishna is there, Dharma is being followed, everyone is so good, and the earth is actually really treated like a real mother, carefully handled and things like that. And suddenly, mother is left like, go wherever you want, kind of um, gone case kind of situation. How would she feel? She was feeling like that, and the bull was able to understand it. So that's what actually we saw, right? So with that, actually this chapter ends. So any questions? I hope actually I've covered most of the points. Let me see if I actually have messed out something on this. Yeah, I think I have covered most of these things. Yeah, there are actually, I mean, you should also read the purports, because there are so many things which are mentioned. How the details around how Krishna was like a night watchman, friend, messengers, from everything, any activity Krishna was told to do, he used to do that, and he was very happy to do that. Not because of, he was like, please, actually, sometimes the devotees actually ask Krishna, please, you do whatever you want with me. I'm very happy to accept that. And Krishna also would actually say, okay, since you are a pure devotee of mine, you tell me what I should do, I'll do that way. So they both actually are in that kind of a relation. It's not that Krishna would always actually force the devotees to do whatever he wants to do. No, Krishna also wants to hear the devotees, and whenever devotees tell something, Krishna would want to do. But of course, it's for pure devotees, not for sadhaka bhaktas. But it's good to actually know that Lord is actually not always independent. While he's completely independent in one sense, he would want to actually do whatever the devotees want him to do. These are very higher topics to understand. But nice to actually know that the Lord is not actually a very demanding master, but a wonderful personality. And the earth actually is talking about all these things is really amazing. And each of these shlokas, each of these chapters actually give us so much of information, that each personality is actually describing the Lord in their own ways. Eh, There's no way nobody comes and complains that Krishna, you have done this. Only Kali Yuga souls will always say, God, you are very, very, you are cruel and things like that, because we don't know who God is properly. We don't know proper understanding about the Lord. That's the reason. Any questions? Yeah, 3 more chapters. I think
Prabhu,
78.
is
Yes.
Kali is also incarnation of Krishna, or
Um,
is the avatar
no,
same
not.
like you have Narsimha, like
Hmm.
that it comes no in Kali that Dashavatara they say.
Yeah.
Even Kali is also one of the avatars, but is it what
I
you have to
think
do?
you're mistaken with Kalki Avatara.
Okay.
It's not Kali.
Okay.
Kali is actually one of the yugas, and for
Okay.
every yuga there is actually a
Mm.
Purusha or a
Purusha.
personified. Yeah. So
Ah,
Kali is actually that
okay. Okay.
personification of the yuga.
Mm.
Kalki is
Mm.
different. Lord
Okay.
Kalki is actually comes in the end of
Okay.
this yuga.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Right.
Prabhuji, actually, I had heard, I mean, I had read on internet that he's actually another form of Duryodhana or second birth of Duryodhana, something like that. I mean,
Uh, who Kali?
yes, yes.
Okay, so interestingly speaking, in the internet you have everything. Sometimes you'll feel people might actually start writing that Krishna, you don't know, is actually my own son. So there are so many different aspects which are mentioned in the internet. So don't get deeper into all these things. Don't read internet. You want to read as acharyas, especially speaking. Prabhupada's books actually gives all the information sufficient for us. Otherwise, you'll unnecessarily get confused and waste your time in understanding that. It may be true, may not be true. There's no way to actually go and then prove this. Prabhupada has not mentioned anything like that, that Duryodhana came as Kali again. It's not there in, at least in Prabhupada's books. So we should just leave it at that. Even if that is there, because even if sometimes actually, what do you call, sometimes the living entity asks for these kind of things. Some living entity wants to become like Kali Purusha. Possible. You want to see how I can torture others. That desire will be fulfilled by the Lord. Um, but I don't know, at this point in time, Prabhupada has not mentioned it anywhere. Maybe it's there. Many things are there in the internet which are not actually confirmed by the acharyas, our Gaudiya acharyas. So we should actually just leave it at that, because it doesn't add any value. Even if we know that Duryodhana is Kali, I still have to chant Hare Krishna. I still have to read Bhagavatam. I still have to go and pay obeisance to the Supreme Lord. Nothing is going to change. So unnecessarily knowing a lot of information will just what do you call? I don't know what to say. It'll just weaken our mind. That's all. Nothing more than that. But don't look into the internet too much for these things. That's all I'll
Thank
say.
you, Prabhuji.
No
Thank
problem. Yeah.
And Prabhuji, one more thing I wanted to know, why like the earth is considered as the cow? I mean, what is the correlation?
Yeah, see, in certain places actually this is mentioned that the cow has an appearance wherein a normal what do you call a sane living being feels compassion for the cow. Naturally, the cow's appearance itself is so wonderful. It's sattvic, first of all, to look at, and you feel very compassion in general. Naturally, you'll feel that one. And second thing is, cow is considered as a mother too, always. And the earth is also considered as mother, because everything comes from the earth. So what are your food, your living being, everything for that matter comes from the earth. And that's a reason the earth always takes the form of a cow to invoke compassion. Imagine you're getting a lion or a tiger. You'll feel compassion. You'll actually get scared. Like, oh man, this fellow is going to bite me. So you don't feel comfortable. Never actually you'll feel comfortable for any other animal as much as a cow. These are mentioned in certain places in Prabhupada books too, that she assumes the form of a cow. Earth assumes the form of a cow, because of which all the demigods, including Brahmaji, all of them will feel compassion looking at the cow. And then cow comes and then says that I'm feeling bad and things like that. They feel like supporting the cow. They feel like actually I should do something for the cow, and that's the reason actually she takes that kind of a form. There are many other explanations given in the Shastras, but these are the common ones used.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So 3 more chapters, and you'll be done with the first canto. But you read it more again and again, again and again. You keep
Yes.
reading, then actually we'll go closer to the Lord. More we hear about Krishna's pastime. In fact, we have to keep hearing all the time. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavatam
When you actually do
Sevaya.
that, when you do that, you'll come to a stage wherein your bhakti will become ahetuki, or it will become completely undisturbed. You will be able to remember the Lord all the time. Right now, we remember whenever we want. Most of the times, we don't remember the Lord. Only sometimes we remember the Lord, but then we'll come to a stage wherein we can remember the Lord always.
Only.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a question. Okay. After first canto, can the second canto be taken up, please, Prabhuji? Somebody wants to know that can we continue the second canto also? We will see how to actually continue this. As we go along, the first canto of Bhagavatam actually is much easier to understand, because it's the lotus feet of the Lord. But as we go along, the Bhagavatam needs more dedication. If you're not chanting Hare Krishna seriously, this information doesn't even come near to your head, because this requires a far more discipline in our spiritual life to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam is Krishna in the form of a book. So if you want to understand Bhagavatam, we need to actually have discipline. But we'll definitely try to actually have these sessions going forward, depending on, put your feedback to the group. We'll see actually what to do. Okay. Any other questions? If there are no questions, we could actually wait for next week to actually do the 17th chapter. Okay. Yes, Rupa
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you
Yes.
very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
And
Mataji.
great having your association. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Rupa Prabhu, should we stop? You think actually we are good with this?
Yes, Guruji. So, thank you very much for taking this
Hare
chapter
Krishna.
16.
Yeah. Please actually make sure that you take some time to answer the quiz, so it will actually know us whether we are done our part. And then we'll see how we actually can take it forward, the rest cantos. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.